Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for coming for a very exciting announcement for Northern Nevada. I'm Chris Baum, President and CEO of Reno Tahoe USA, and I'd like to introduce my new best friend, Doug Fullerton, who's Commissioner of the Big Sky Conference, for an exciting announcement. Doug?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I'm extremely pleased to be here. About a year ago, the Big Sky Conference embarked on taking a look at changing a long-time format that we've had in the Big Sky, where the team that wins the regular season hosts. And one of the things during the conference reshuffle, the Big Sky actually got bigger. And so we're putting too much strain on short periods of time to go into a city. And I think it's just time that we take a look at a new format. So I asked my associate, Ron Loghry, to put together a committee, and they went out to different communities. And at the end of this process, we're here to announce today that for the next 3 years, we're bringing 24 teams into Reno for the Big Sky tournament, both men and women, 12 on each side. I mean, this is going to be a hell of a tournament. It's going to start on Monday, and it's going to go through Saturday, and it's going to be an awful lot of basketball. It's even going to be, it won't rival quite your AAU stuff, but it is going to be a lot of basketball, and it's going to be really fun. You know, one of the things, before I was commissioner of the Big Sky Conference, I was the athletic director at Montana State, and know Lynn very well. And folks, you're going to like the kind of people we bring as followers of Big Sky basketball to the city of Reno, and they're going to like the kind of people that they meet here, because you're just like us. This is a great place for the Big Sky to have its tournament. I think it could be a very, very long-term great fit. It's up to us now to make sure we get the people here, which we will work extremely hard to do. But with that, with the Reno Tahoe USA, we're going to sign the agreement. It's a memorandum of understanding. And then we're going to start it's not even a negotiation. We know exactly where we're going, but we're going to dot the I's and who gets to pick up the towels and those kinds of things. We'll figure that out. But so we signed that today. And I don't have pens for everybody like Obama would, where he signs one letter at a time. But it is really important that we start down this road. And I think Ron will be back here within a week or so. And we got a bigger one. All right. So I will do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't we sign the big one? Then we'll sign the small one, which we can keep in the file.
Fill in the date, would you? I don't know what day it is today. We've been on the road for a while, so I just...
24th today? Yes. Yeah. There we go. It's official on our end. All right.
I do it different. My alarm is easy. Okay. Anyway, with that, I'll probably turn it back to Chris. We'll open it up for questions. We're available to shoot for anybody that wants. Ron's here. He's the one that ran the process. If you want to talk about the process, the evaluation. Again, I'm extremely pleased to be here, and I think this is going to be a great relationship for a long time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Doug. You know, this is, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Big Sky Conference, as Doug says, there's a great synergy psychographically with their teams and coaches and universities and the people who live here in Northern Nevada. And, you know, we're talking about universities from the states of Washington, Idaho, Montana, Arizona, Colorado, Oregon, California, North Dakota, Utah. These are our neighbors. These are fellow Westerners. UNR used to be part of this conference, so there's a lot of links there as well. And this is a big piece of business. We're talking about many thousands of room nights in March. The winner of this conference is an automatic entry to the NCAA March Madness tournament. It's really a big deal, and we're confident that all of our Western neighbors coming in to root on their teams is also going to expose our destination, the new Reno-Sparks area, to a lot of people in the West who might return for a little leisure time activity, which we think is great for our destination. You know, I get to stand up here, but really I have to tip my hat to Shelley Fine, our Director of Sports Development. She and her team do a fantastic job, not only with Big Sky, but all the different sports. We're having this in our boardroom today because we couldn't do it at the Reno Events Center where the tournament will take place because it's full of girls volleyball, Northern California girls volleyball. The convention center across the street, full of Northern California girls volleyball. The bowling stadium, full of USBC women's bowlers. We got thousands of sporting participants in town this week. And although that would be a really big story in other towns, we're so used to doing it that it takes a new group like this to really make the front page and get on the nightly news. So we are delighted about this relationship. We think it's going to last for a long time. And I want to recognize another guy who was mentioned earlier by Doug, but Len Stevens, who heads our Chamber of Commerce here. A big name in the basketball world and now in our business community. He gave Shelley a call and myself early on and said, you guys need to check this out, got the ball rolling, and then Shelley and her team took it from there. And our facilities people, the Reno Events Center is a perfect fit. We can give them 5,000 seats with great sight lines. It's a modern facility. We handle the Reno Bighorns, so we know how to do basketball well. And it's a big building compared to what's available on a lot of the campuses of these great universities. So we think it's going to be a fun thing. They're already talking about the road to Reno, and we think that's very catchy, and we'd like to see that continue well into the future. But we are delighted. This really is a big accomplishment and very much in keeping with the role that we're on here in Reno Tahoe. We're setting new records in terms of hotel revenues. We're setting new records in corporate business travel coming here for Tesla and others. The leisure travel market is booming, and we're setting records in convention bookings now. So to get a big blue chip tournament like this moving forward is another feather in our cap, and we can't thank Doug and Ron enough for entrusting it to us along with their voting members, because we're confident we're going to deliver for them and then some. So thanks very much, and we are open to any questions and afterwards individual interviews if you're interested.
Yeah, one of the things that we did always with the hot team host concept, that's what we called it, is we always wanted to have enough teams making the tournament that everybody was in it to the last weekend to try to keep the regular season relevant. And with 12 teams, 8 seems to do that. However, 4 get left home. And that's one of the great advantages of going to a predetermined site, knowing where we're going, is that now everybody can go. And it just made us available. We couldn't take 12 on a hot team host site, because you can imagine some of the cities we go into, if all of a sudden, particularly if you have the men and women both, all of a sudden you have 24 teams descending upon a community with no warning. That's pretty tough. And so, this gives us the opportunity to bring everybody, which also gives us the opportunity then to bring alumni. You know, a lot of our schools, I know when I was at Montana State, whenever we played in Reno or anywhere in California, I mean, we had tremendous alumni bases up and down the coast. And Montanans are like Nevadans, northern Nevadans particularly. They're real provincial, and they, you know, no matter if you've lived in New York City for the last 20 years, someone asks you where you're from, you say Montana, or you say Reno. I mean, that's just the way it is. And so getting them back off the West Coast, too, is going to be extremely important to us. So getting everybody here was really important. Ron?
One of the things, the elements the committee looked at on behalf of the administrators was creating an event that everybody had ownership in, and some of the coaches and administrators expressed that wasn't the case if you're taking 8 of the 12. And so in bringing everybody to the tournament, you start developing relationships at a site, developing relationships with teams that you maybe only see one other time a year. So that was really a key component of bringing everybody.
What was it fundamentally made you change the whole process and the idea about how you choose your cities to have the tournament in?
Well, as Doug referenced, we're a hot team host, and really what started the ball rolling was 3 years ago, University of Montana, their women won the regular season and their men won the regular season, and that was with 7 teams in our tournament. So now we had 12 teams ascend on Missoula, and it was very, very difficult for them to find enough hotel properties for fans to get there on such a short notice. We had parents that couldn't make it to the event. And so that was 2013. So in 2014, we started talking, we're going to expand our tournament to 8 now. That could be 16 teams in a tournament, and that happened again this year. Montana won both, and it was a difficult situation. So in planning out for the future, it was the administrators went to the presidents and asked for permission to look at alternative ways to do our tournament. Predetermined was the forefront of it, just so we didn't run into that situation. You know, Montana is probably one of our, Missoula is probably one of our towns that have the most hotels, and so we started thinking what would happen if we went somewhere that didn't, and it could be could have been catastrophic. So that really got the ball rolling on that.
Yeah, we had situations. We had a women's tournament in Grand Forks, North Dakota. I mean, we go as far east as North Dakota, and we couldn't get flights. I mean, you got a week's notice, and the flight service into Grand Forks is limited, and we couldn't get flights. The teams were flying to Minnesota and busing, and I mean it. So, but don't get me wrong. This is, and back when I was an athletic director, I helped write the legislation that created the hot team host, and it served us very well. But I mean, I really caught the enthusiasm the committee had when they returned from this site. I mean, I know something about Reno. I used to bring my football and basketball teams in here when I was an athletic director. I mean, I have a lot of lost nights in Reno. But I've always felt that of all the places out here west that could be a destination with a lot of things for people to do, a great attraction, it was also the place that kind of fits. And so when I heard them talking about it when they come home, then I started getting enthusiastic about it too. It's pretty exciting.
Well, we got that small town mentality, and yet we got 15,000 hotel rooms, a great event center that works perfectly, and it really is a great melding. We're right in the middle of your schools where they're located, and we are ready to show you guys what hospitality is.
If you look at the western states and you color them in, we do that on the back of our media guides. Every place we have institutions. Every state in the West is covered except there's a little island in there, Nevada, so we need to color it in now.
Well, for a week every year, it'll be part of the process.
What's the economic impact over 3 years?
3 years? Over 3 years, we're estimating about $10 million. And we think that's conservative. We think that with the fan base out west for these universities, especially a lot of it's in drive time, and our hotel accommodation availability, we think this can really set new records every year.
Yeah, our committee visited Ogden, Utah, which bid on the men's tournament. We visited Billings, Montana, which bid on the men's tournament. We visited Spokane, Washington, which bid on the hybrid. They'd have the men's in the Spokane Arena and the women out at Cheney, Eastern Washington's campus. And those were the sites we visited. And the committee took a look at all of them. They were all very, very very nice places. Could have pulled off our championship. I'll tell you the core thing the committee really centered on is not only does this bring a 100% neutral site as opposed to everywhere else we looked at, but it also, nothing could replicate what you have in your hotels downtown, how they're interconnected, how we envision that as being the hub where our fans and our teams and whenever that has happened in previous situations where we had to have teams in one hotel, or it just created such a great event, and people really responded well to that when we saw that setup that you have in your downtown area, you can't replicate that anywhere, and it really, that was a key component to it.
Any other questions? Very good. Well, thanks for coming, and we hope you share our excitement over this great news for Reno Tahoe. Thank you.